It is high.
Voicemails.
It is far.
Voicemails.
And it is God.
Talkin' Yanks voicemail show with BBD and Joez.
What is good, y'all? Is my mic on?
You're
Turn my
on.
mic up. Turn my mic up. What is good, y'all? How you guys doing? I'm Joez McFly. That is BBD. Bug, dude. And we have Zach.
way.
Grabbing the grabbing this corner, chilling. We have some voicemails. We had the Boone
event last night.
last night.
Last night as we're recording this, 2 nights ago as you're hearing this, there's warehouse stuff going on. Watch that.
If the Yankee games didn't get rained out to all hell, and seems like there's supposed to be a lot of rain coming.
Seems like we're heading towards tonight getting canned. They might be able to work around the next 2 days for the Angels set at least, but whole week seems like it's in jeopardy.
That's crazy.
But, behind the scenes thing I can tell the people about the Boone event.
Yes.
Boone came in. He was pretty hot about, I don't know what's going to happen this week. He's, nervous about rainouts.
Really?
Nervous is a strong word. It was on his mind, though. He's like, probably a couple double headers coming this week.
Or maybe the whole week gets rained out.
Maybe.
I hope not, because that would be a
They'll
nightmare.
be rested.
That would be a nightmare.
They're going to lose all these
Momentum.
off days they're supposed to have in August and the momentum and all of that.
I don't like that, especially with a West team.
Yeah.
Two West teams.
You got teams that, we should be able to take care of, and you make it a doubleheader. It's just hard to sweep doubleheaders. It just feels like we're making wins harder.
Or breaking
If
it.
we, but there's nothing anyone can do about it, which is tough.
There is. If you're a god.
If any gods are watching, can help us
If any
out.
god, which
If you can keep us clean through Sunday and get these games in.
I'm sure. Okay. Well, let's go ahead and listen to our voicemails. If you want to be a part of the voicemail app, all you got to do is dial this nice, simple number of 908-845-5792. We are here for you. Voicemails.
So I'm listening to your last episode right now, so apologies if you already covered this, but I just wanted to say that when Boone pulled Torres in the middle of that inning,
Yeah.
that was great managing, great player-manager stuff. It gives Gleyber the ability to say to the press and the media after the game that he learned his lesson, turned the corner, and if he has a good season the rest of the way, then Boone just saved him tens of millions of dollars. Maybe that's crazy, but anyway, gives Gleyber the opportunity to have a good narrative. Almost a minute.
Give Gleyber the opportunity to have a good narrative. Now, he did handle the press conference really well. I thought he looked, very, what's the word I'm looking for? When you're sincere. He looked very sincere in his, I'm not, I made a mistake and I'm a human. And everything that he said in his press conference was perfect. There's nothing to critique there. Everything was good. I'm also happy that Boone said, yeah, he's in there tomorrow. Kind of telling him, yeah, this is just a right now thing, but I had
Today
to do
was
this.
the punishment.
It was just today. This is not a lingering thing. We're gonna need you to be able to win, so we needed to lock in. So that's it. Sometimes you need that in life from different people, and just to get you to refocus.
Yeah, he and by the way, they do very much need him. He's been hitting for 27 games now since the first time he was sat down for a little. That was more of a brain clearer
It wasn't a benching.
a punishment. He was struggling, and there was some the normal Gleyber defensive stuff, as I recall.
Right.
That situation. It's that was kind of a hey, go clear your head. Don't worry about this. Listen, a straight up punishment. Like, comments will correct me if I'm wrong. I don't recall that being like he did something so egregious that he needed to be punished for it.
Right.
Since then he's been hitting 291 with a 353 on base and a 781 OPS, 3 homers, 5 doubles in that time. And then since coming out of that game, there's been 2 games since. He went 3 for 9 in the 2 games since. So
Yeah.
hopefully keeping that going, it hopefully isn't gonna stop the progress he's made at the plate.
Yeah. More people hitting in the lineup, the better. So need that. That's good. I like that. Give him an opportunity for a good narrative, and that's it. And he won't do it again. I don't think he will.
Especially like deadline's over. Like there isn't another move there really.
Mm-hmm. I think hearing Judge also tell him, like, I know Gleyber, been knowing Gleyber his whole life, and not his whole life, but his whole career.
Yeah.
And he said, if I know Gleyber, this will never happen again.
Yeah.
Which you hear him say that, right? Gleyber's not going to want to let Cap down, right? He's not going to want to let Judge down or try to So I think we're going to see the best version of Gleyber coming out.
Which is great.
It's just great.
I like that.
Speaking of Judge, he's been getting walked a lot lately. And our next caller wants to workshop an idea to maybe prevent that a little bit.
Ooh, okay.
How's it going? My name is Will Jackson. I would like to possibly see Judge in the 2-hole. If we flip him and Soto, have Verdugo or Gleyber or Jazz, whoever in the leadoff. And Judge has been in the 2-hole pretty career. You flip him and Soto, he'll have protection, possibly break the home run record. It's something I'd like to see. I'd like to hear your thoughts on that. Thank you, guys.
Honestly, I don't really want Judge chasing any more home run records. At least not this season. I think
it's secondary if we find ourselves in that position.
Yeah,
that means good things are happening.
I seen how exhausted he was when he was chasing the last one, and I just don't want him. I want him to be ready for the playoffs. But that's not the question. The question was more about
do you have to
him
flip
batting
him?
second?
Yeah,
I think the Yankees will just walk him anyway. It'll be the same thing.
Sure, if this really continues and it feels like it is costing them, all the teams start just doing it, you definitely have to consider flipping him and Soto, and then that should, I guess the natural progression would then be that then Soto's going to get all those walks, which I don't know if that, I think it just changes the problem.
He's going to walk anyway.
I suppose okay, gun to my head, if I'm making a video game situation of all right, well, that would still mean Judge is getting pitches to hit, and as amazing as Soto is, at least for this year and the last 3 years, Judge is better. So I guess if I could pick one of them to get the pitches, sure, you'd have to think about it, but I just don't see them doing it. I think they love the way those two have fed off each other 2-3 in that order. I just would be surprised if they ultimately made that switch. I think, and we'll see if it's an issue that's beyond just what the Blue Jays felt like doing, because Wells has been behind him and really hitting for an extended period of time. The rest of the lineup is coming around as well. Volpe's been really good towards the bottom. Jazz is not far behind. If Stanton can really get going now that he's back and has about a week of games under his belt, we should. I think it'll correct itself and it won't be crazy spot.
I'm going to tell you guys how to solve the Judge walking problem, right? Right now, hear me out, okay? Giancarlo hits. End the sentence. If Giancarlo hits, they're not going to want to walk Judge anymore because is just creating so many more RBI, so many more runs that are coming in because Wells and Giancarlo are hitting, and it's just making him pay. That is the only remedy to this Judge walking stuff. They're not going to want to put more people on base if the people behind them are actually hitting, right? And I'm not saying Giancarlo. Yeah. I mean, Giancarlo's going to get going.
Giancarlo specifically getting going is the quickest one that would fix it. Wells, as good as he's been, and we watching every day know that, it feels like other teams don't know that yet.
When
So
G
they're
was
not, like,
hitting,
scared of him.
when G was hitting, when he was back, like before he went on the IL and he was hitting, they weren't walking Judge, and he had a really good amount of RBIs that he was taking advantage of. Judge would still get on base, find his way to get on base, whether it's hit, whether it's a homer, whether it's a walk. Judge is going to walk regardless. I mean, look at his on base percentage. It is what it is. Giancarlo was the one that was really cashing things in at the time. Then he got hurt. He went down. And then, now he's trying to work his way back into form. So I think that is the best remedy for the Judge walking issue. Giancarlo.
Yeah. You have to find a way to make it stop working. So that means the guys behind Judge have to hit. I think I wish I had a very quick way to double check the numbers on this. I was reading an article this morning that had the numbers because he's been intentionally walked a league leading 11 times. I think after an intentional walk, Judge himself has only scored after one of those this year. So like the teams that have decided to intentionally walk him, I think have been rewarded for having done that.
Yeah.
That doesn't account for like if any lead runners in front of him scored, but in general, it's been working. They have to find a way to make it stop working.
Right.
And that is under the current lineup construction, Wells and Stanton specifically have to really punish pitchers for doing that and choosing to pitch to them instead with the force in play. That is the way you fix it. If that isn't coming, then you think about the Soto flip, and because Soto's obviously the best protection, would be the best protection in the league for Judge there. But then I think they just will do that to Soto as well, because Soto is having one of the best offensive Yankee seasons in a generation as well. Flies so under the radar because of what Judge is doing this year and did 2 years ago. But Soto's having like an incredible year, like one of Soto's best years ever. It's very interesting. And then, as an aside, the first time they did the intentional walk the Blue Jays this weekend to Judge with second inning intentional walk him 2 outs, nobody on. So crazy. That's a crazy spot to break that out for the first time. The other times they did it, I understand why they did, but that game they were already losing. Like, let's just be real, that the result of win-loss shouldn't really matter. Gostin pitched to him like the next at bat. What did in the same situation? It's like what was the difference between those two?
Right.
You're already losing. Season doesn't really matter. It's so early in the game at the time they did it the first time. Like, sure, later in games when guys were on and in games where it was like a tie game, I got it then. You're already losing. So I was just so weirded out by why they did it the first time they did it.
Yeah.
The other times made sense in the context of the game, and all of them, I guess, it proved to be the right move. So egg on my face, I guess. But I don't know. The whole thing is weird and less fun to watch. They need to find a way to make that stop, because I like watching Judge hit. And I know you do too.
There's only one way to fix that. Giancarlo hits. That's it. That's basically it.
All right, moving on.
Hey guys, I just wanted to call in about when you guys talk about bullpen, and you guys and Jimmy and Jake seem to be really infatuated with strikeouts. Don't get me wrong, I love a good strikeout, but specifically when talking about Clay Holmes, he is, well above average in strikeout percentage, but he's number 1 in ground ball percentage. And I just really like that profile. I think inducing really soft contact is one of the most valuable skill sets as a pitcher. So I'm curious why you guys think that won't work when you look at guys like Zach Britton, who had one of the best relieving seasons of all time, exclusively as a ground ball pitcher.
Okay. All right. The reason why, personally, I feel, I mean, it can with, stuff like that with Clay. And when you look at, a lot of his numbers, it's like, oh, man, what's going on? The thing is that you want to, the reason why people like strikeouts a lot more than ground balls is because you're decreasing that FIP variable, that fielder independent pitching, where now you're introducing the luck factor, right? luck is something. BABIP is something, right? It just is. And if people are putting the ball in play against Clay, then that means it just can improve the chances of either the ball falling in, dunking, whatever it is. When you have a strikeout guy, nothing happens. They just strike out. I think when we think about it on the other side, on the other end, I think that'll make things clear for you. Like if you have your guy, for example, Joey Gallo was that true, 3 outcome guy where he would either strike out or he would homer or he would walk, right? Like nothing happens when he strikes out. No base runners move, nothing happens. Like it's just a moot point. It's just an out, which is on the pitching side of it, that's what you want. So that's why I think, Jimmy and Jake say that more than not. And a lot of stuff with Clay, and there's some question marks in our infield. I think Jazz has shored up a little bit of third base, and Gleyber has had his errors, and I mean, for as sure-handed as Volpe has been, we've seen what happened in Baltimore, right? Like, so anything can happen when the ball is put in play. It's on the fielders then. You have to take, it takes more people to create that out when the ball is put in play. Versus, you're a strikeout guy, it's only the pitcher and the catcher, basically.
Yeah, I don't disagree with what the call. I think Clay Holmes is a very, very good reliever.
Yeah.
I do think that not striking out guys is a little overblown. I agree. I still want a guy that strikes out more as like the closer. I agree. That's not to say I disagree with what you or Jimmy or Jake have said in that. Like I'd love for the last guy and more guys in the bullpen in general to be high strikeout guys. Clay's reputation as a guy that doesn't strike people out is definitely overblown. His strikeout rate is above the MLB average. Like the league-wide average strikeout rate is 22.3%. Clay's strikeout rate for the season is 24%. So he is striking out like league average, a little above. I'd love a big plus there. And it's even a little better. It's about 2% better if you take out the first like 4 games when he didn't strike anybody out and it was like kind of freaky at the beginning of the year. That first like week. So like Clay does strike guys out at like a fine number, and his strikeout rate this year is the lowest it's been since coming to the Yankees. So he does strike guys out, and the contact he gets does generate the kind of contact you would prefer to a guy that's going to hit the ball, to guys that are going to give up homers and stuff like De Los Santos has been killed by the long ball. That's why the Yankees got a prospect for taking him on, and they think they have the fix for him, whatever. You would prefer that in general, but I'd love a guy who can like really punch tickets at the back end is the flip side of that. It's just like one guy who's like a real plus for that role.
Yeah.
At the end of the game when you want to limit as many variables as possible. And sure, over the course of the year, are you going to get burned a couple times by giving up homers? Yeah, that's the nature of pitching. That's about the guys are going to give up a couple homers here. Even the best closers will get got sometimes.
Right.
But Clay, it just feels like with his profile, and that's with me being a guy who will defend his strikeout rate and say he's good, and that I generally do like and trust him. His walk rate is in the best spot it's been since coming to the Yankees for a full season. Which is great, 6.1%. It's his lowest by a lot in any season.
He does. He has allowed he has allowed more base runners this year than in years past, but that's still
It's because we've been burned the same way by it. Even with those numbers all being in a spot I'm comfortable with in general, like as a reliever on the team. They've gotten burned, it feels like the same way 4 or 5 times this year, that it's like, and it's happened in years past as well. Like the days it doesn't work is because like the soft contact just falls between these two guys, or it's like it creates such soft contact that like, well, that's a hard play for our third baseman, whether that's DJ, Cabrera, Jazz, whoever. We don't have a lot of classically trained third basemen. It's a hard play to charge in and make that throw across. Like that's just what happens. These balls fall between, or you get sawed off, and it drops in the outfield for a little bloop. Like we just lost the same game. We lost games or had games go to extras, and we burn more relievers later. It just happened the same way.
There's just
a few times.
There's just two situations I don't really particularly like Clay coming into, and that's with runners on base. I'm not sure what a stranded number is, but it feels like since people are always putting the ball in play, if he comes in with runners on base, chances are not, it just feels like they're just either going to come in or advance bases. I don't really like that, and extra innings. Now we've won a couple of extra inning games, but once again, if he is starting an inning with a runner on second, people can score on outs way too often with Clay versus when
if you bring him in,
tickets.
You bring him in less than 2 outs and not like forces everywhere.
Right.
Runners will advance and get and you can score on other plays and stuff.
He's very effective.
If I'm looking at this right, I think he's allowing 33% of his inherited runners to score. I'm not great with those ratios and like what's good there.
33. Where is this supposed to be?
I don't know what like the league average strand rate is off the top of my head. That sounds a little high.
It feels like that's a third of the time.
It's like I think he is struggling in that stat.
Yeah,
like vibes wise, that feels like a high number.
Yeah.
Comments will correct us.
Yes, please do. Because you will.
You will, and you should.
You should.
Yeah, it's just like in general, like bullpen construction. Mm-hmm. As high as I can or can't be on Clay, I can love him to death. A new guy who's better than him would have been awesome. That just makes the whole bullpen better.
Right.
And we agree there.
Yeah. That'd be cool. And if he's throwing a slight... Oh. Okay.
Special guest.
All right, guys. Thank you for the call.
All right, our next calls are going to be about some possible reinforcements we have coming down the line.
I like that.
All right.
All right, so here's my thought. What happens when Clarke Schmidt comes back? And do you guys think Nestor out of the bullpen is an option? I know he used to be there, and his first year with the Yankees, he had some effective moments. I don't know. What do you think of the rotation when Schmidt comes back? Thanks. Love the show.
The Yankees have a couple of options depending on when he comes back. They could either decide to want to put him in the pen, which would bolster the pen, obviously, and that'll give you a strikeout guy over there. Or he could start, and if you have enough time to build him up, I would like him to start. But I got to see what the Yankees feel about that, because I envision Schmidt coming back and then later on down the stretch, kind of like tag teaming with Luis Gil down the stretch. I think that makes sense. Where either he's coming out of the pen or Gil ends up coming out of the pen for him. I think they want to keep Gil, starting, but
I
we'll
like
see what
those two
happens
as
with
like a foil for each other. I hadn't thought of them as a pair before.
I could see that, and the Yankees did a pair before. Where
They've paired.
They've paired before, so that would be interesting. Don't know if they did decide to want to put him into the starting rotation, and they want to put Nestor in the pen. That'll be interesting. It just gives a different look out of the pen.
For the playoff formula, I love bullpen Nestor as part of the solution there. He has some interesting left-right splits. He's done some bullpen stuff before. He'll do some freaky stuff. He can get you out of that inning. I like it. So for the bullpen formula, I think regardless of Clarke, Nestor might be coming out of the pen. Clarke, what Clarke will do when he comes back, as far as finishing out this regular season, because I think sometime this month we expect Clarke to get back, but at least by like the end of the month.
Yeah.
We'll see where they're at. It's pitching. A new injury can happen any day. But like right now, like the most obvious guy out would be Stroman. He's just been bad for a while.
He is, but I don't think.
But they're not going to do that.
The Yankees don't take him out of the rotation.
I think
They don't give him a chance.
If we're talking, So I am curious what the plan would be if everyone's good. But this is the same game we played for how long while we were waiting for Garrett Cole to come back, and then a week before he's back, they needed Poteet to make 3 starts before Cole even came back, or whatever the number was. So he's like just starting his throwing program. I think he's still probably like 10 days away from like any sort of rehab game. I'm sure they're willing to build him up. Maybe like those first games back or something will be a bullpen situation as like a long guy or try out like a piggyback him Nestor or something or him Heel. It's interesting but they will like use. He was so good this year. Like Clarke's numbers on the season: 60 innings pitched, and it's a 2.52 ERA and 11 starts.
Very good.
Which is a pretty real sample. Like I'm sure there was going to be a regression to the mean coming, but he was starting to give the length. He was really effective. It felt like he was having like his finally having like his breakout season.
Pitching well against lefties and righties.
Yes, so like they should be finding a way to use him, and I think that'll be as a starter because he was pitching like he could be an option in the playoff rotation, and they operated at the deadline like he's among the options for the playoff rotation. So we're a little too far from it to come up with like the full plan, but Clarke will be part of this, and Nestor come the playoffs among the guys currently in that mix does feel like the biggest. Like he could be a weapon in the playoffs out of the bullpen.
Yeah, he could be
play his stuff up a little bit.
Sure.
Like Nestor, as much as we and the audience all season and fans have struggled with what to make of his season because it's been some good, some bad. He has shown a lot of good.
Yes,
There has been objectively like a healthy amount of like good starts in there. It's interesting, and the left-right splits and all of that. Nestor out of the bullpen, I can be like excited for that in the playoffs. If that's the plan, and obviously we'll see how the rest of the season goes and how the vibes around him finish out. But I would love him out of the pen. I would love for Clarke to be part of the rotation. I'm a big Clarke fan, but if it comes to it in the playoffs, him also being a bullpen option would be great, and great for the pen and great for the whole pecking order, because he earlier in his career had success out of the bullpen and his stuff played up a little bit, and he came in. He pitched a little too much in that 22 playoffs, but he like was generally pretty effective in that role. So I like Clarke. I want to find. I'm excited to see how they maximize him.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I'm very happy Clarke's coming back. I'm happy that it's because he's one of the guys that I speak to as well, and he was just like, yeah, man, like I'm working on this, man. I'm gonna come back even stronger. I was like, yo, listen, everything happens for a reason, bro. Everything happens for a reason. Like, you probably weren't meant to, like, that probably prevented a future injury from happening. Like,
got ahead of this.
You got ahead of it or whatever it was, and now you reap the rewards later on in the season. So I'm a firm believer of that. So let's go Clarke.
Let's go Clarke. Root for Clarke.
Yes.
He's on the team.
Oh, yeah.
Go Clarke in the chat.
Comment Clarke in the chat.
Comment Clarke.
And Ken.
Hey guys, it's Lennon from Lodi. Called earlier. Had another thought to run by you guys. So them not bringing Jasson Dominguez up, I think that's a big mistake. You know, you want to give him this runway to get used to the major league pitching. He hasn't really had that experience. If they expect him to come in September and just contribute after only being in the minor leagues, it could happen, but it also could not happen. Get us over the top So why not just call him up now, get him some at-bats instead of waiting till September trying to rush it.
Okay, I mean, all right, and I was talking about this yesterday at our event with a couple of people. If we bring up Jasson, how are we bringing him up, right? Because then you got to ask yourself, is it better for him to get like kind of like half the at-bats that he's getting in AAA now? Or because he's probably going to be splitting time with Verdugo, right?
If he were to be on the team right now, it would be splitting time across him, Verdugo, G.
And for you to get him on the 26-man roster, who are you taking out?
Yeah.
That's like, I want to know, who do you want to take out of the roster? Like honestly, the Yankees are not going to DFA Verdugo. That's not happening.
That would, like, if we're doing
I'd be
video
blown
games,
away
we're running the team.
if they do that.
That, like, you look at the roster, that would be the move that technically makes the most sense.
Right.
I don't see them doing it.
Trent Grisham's not going anywhere.
Trent Grisham has played too well and fills too many needs and would be too big a part of the playoff formula to do that.
Correct. And if somebody gets hurt, if an outfielder gets hurt,
you proactively make this move
then
you remove somebody and then anyone else gets hurt.
No, I'm saying if you let go of Trent Grisham and one of your outfielders gets hurt, then you're down to Cabrera, who's your backup shortstop as well.
Yeah. It's
you can't. Cabrera's not going anywhere on the roster just because I just mentioned that. He's the backup shortstop, the only backup shortstop on the roster, unless you want to play Gleyber there, or you believe in Jazz at short.
Jazz in a pinch, but all these guys, I guess it would be in a pinch. I would guess it goes Cabrera then Jazz would be the pecking order there.
So if you look at the people that are on the roster, I started thinking about it. I'm like, how would I get Jasson on there? And then that's why the Brian Cashman quotes make sense. I mean, when you get to September, you got September call-ups, and now your roster's expanded. You can bring them up.
Can't. Even then, it's going to be weird because it only goes up to 28, and is Rizzo going to be back by then? Do you need to use a spot on him? Is John Birdie going to be back by then? Or are you going to use a spot on him? Dominguez obviously deserves to be in the conversation of who that spot should be used on, but you can keep him in the minors. This season has been pretty close to a lost season for him developmentally, and so I was not surprised by the Cashman comments that, like, he's healthy enough right now to be called up, but with all the time he lost to the oblique just now and earlier in the season to the TJ recovery and not having the spring training and all that, he's lost a lot of time, I think, for his long-term viability and all of that and development until an injury comes along that would allow him to be able to play every day here for getting through this regular season. He probably should stay in the minors and play every day. Like, if we get to a point, like if the skid was still going the way it was, then it felt like the Yankees need to make something happen. I'd be screaming to call up Dominguez right now, but they have stabilized a bit. It seems like things are on the up and up. They're going to give guys a chance to feel stronger, and then come the playoffs, I think Dominguez should still be an option for this team for something. I think he could help on the active roster still.
Yeah.
But for getting through this regular season and for helping his development, I don't know if they need him to, certainly not to get into the playoffs in general, but even to win the division, they can do that without him, I think. Obviously, he would help that. So I will not be upset at all if they call him up and make use of him. But for his development, playing him every day is awesome and important. For where the team is at this second, I think they want to give Verdugo a chance to get hot again, because if we've seen him be hot, he sounds like he's beat up right now. But hence the offer in this series, it sounds like. But if we're going to recover from that soon enough and get back to what he was doing that week before that, because he started really going again, and he hit for 2.5 months this season. We talked about how awesome he's been. Then he had the worst 6-week stretch in baseball, like of any player. So it evened out and then some. But we've seen Verdugo be really good. He might get hot again and be a really helpful part of this team in the playoffs or down the stretch of the regular season or whatever. And if he's really going, there's not even room for Grisham to do stuff, which sure that would be secondary to Dominguez, but that's all to say he's not going to get the time that we need him to get for when he is going to be a part of the team next season.
Yeah, I don't see that whole thing happening. I just don't see how Dominguez comes up unless there's an injury. If there's an injury, then they'll find room for him.
An injury and he's in.
Then he's in. But the schedule being weak as it is, the Yankees finally hitting a little bit of a stride. They've won 3 straight series in a row. They're playing well. So, like, there's no reason to do it right now. So, yeah, that's it. I think the Yankees want Dominguez to be up here, but if they want him to be up here, I think they want him to play every single day. I don't think they want it to be like a sparing thing.
Yeah.
Good question.
At least until, like, the very end of the season, like, getting ready for what he might be doing in the playoffs. Like, if you're going to call him up, play him every day.
Yeah.
And I don't know where the everyday at-bats are coming from as currently constructed. And you have to lose, and the Yankees roster, like, you'd have to lose some asset for nothing.
Yeah.
That gets in its own way. But
for sure.
All right, I'd say brace yourself for this next one because it's a take. It's a different one.
Shows 4 takes.
How we doing, boys? Quick question, unpopular opinion. I think we let Soto walk. He gets, what, $50 million, $60 million from whoever signs him. I'd like to see the Yankees take $50 million, invested in 3 players, not of Soto's caliber, I understand, but 3 good ball players equal one hell of a team, better than just Juan Soto for $50 million a year. Bye.
Stop.
Where's he pulling $50 million a year from?
Stop.
He'd be worth the $50 million a year also, but
Soto's 25 years old. He'll be 26 next year. What are we talking about? Why are we trying to save the Yankees money? Like, no.
I don't watch Hal Steinbrenner's bank balance.
No, that's none of my business. Listen, no, there is no, the Yankees cannot let Soto walk. And even if you invested in these 3 marginal players or whatever you're trying to, invest that in, that's not going to be anywhere near as good as Soto. And where are you plugging these 3 players at?
You can find 3 players.
Soto is what you need. You have Soto. The plan is to have Soto, Judge, and Dominguez in your outfield. Now you have Jazz and Volpe in the left side of your infield.
Yeah, next 3 years makes sense there.
Wells looks like the catcher that you want. Like, you've got a good nucleus here. Why don't you surround it with a superstar that's also young? This is when you spend money.
Spend now.
You spend now.
You can sign him to a 10-year contract this offseason. The last year that he'll be 36.
The Yankees,
like even if he's gone, like, he's not gonna go. That's the age DJ LeMahieu is right now.
Yeah.
Like if the last year of that's fine. A lot of these deals go to like 40, and maybe you're signing him for longer. I don't know.
The Yankees will make the money back on that contract. They will make the money back on that contract. It'll be worth it.
They have already made some of the money on that contract. You think they're not selling Soto merch this year?
Come on,
they're selling plenty, and and they'll get all the people who held out because he's not signed long term. They got.
Don't entertain that.
You do everything you can to keep Juan Soto. If you don't want to sign Juan Soto,
it means you're bringing back Verdugo
ahead of his age 26 season.
We're not.
Juan Soto ahead of his age 26 season, that's not the target you wanted.
I can't imagine. First of all, free agents don't hit the market that young. That's number 1. We missed out. Number 2, we missed out on 2 of them, one of which I thought was perfect for the Yankees and Bryce Harper, because the Yankees didn't believe that he could play first base. Or guess where he's playing right now? First base. I would love to have a first baseman. He's got the right attitude. He's young. I don't see. There shouldn't be a universe where the Yankees don't sign Juan Soto. And if there is, then I'm telling you, Yankee fans are not going to be. They're not going to be happy with it because I'm looking at the free agent class, guys. It's not good.
Go look ahead at this
good.
offseason's free agent class and tell me the 3 guys you know for sure you know another team won't sign and you can sign instead of the Soto money. If Juan Soto of all people, specifically Juan Soto at 26, isn't the guy you go all in on and give like all the money to, who is that ever going to be?
Guys, the Yankees.
He's not going to be.
They're going to be having money coming off the books. They're going to have the Gleyber money coming off the books in a couple of years. Giancarlo come off the books in a couple of years. Some other people come off the books. Don't worry about the Yankees' money. They're fine.
You give him.
Every time I think about this team without Soto, I get mad. So
Soto's been
L.
the best part of this team besides Aaron Judge.
Yes.
And like we've had good things on this team.
You signed Judge in his prime. You signed Cole in his prime to not bring this kid along for the ride in his prime is so what are we doing?
You can extend their primes by
you want to increase
maximize
your
their
chances of
usage as
winning
they
World
exit
Series.
their primes.
This is how you do it.
He's a guy who's
Soto's-
won the World Series, by the way.
Right.
You're keeping Juan Soto.
Yes.
If you can, it is his free agency. He will do what he wants to do.
Yeah.
But as the New York Yankees,
Better.
it can't be about money. It has to be just he wanted to leave. And I don't get the vibe. Just watching, I've never spoken to the guy. I don't get the vibe that he wants to go anywhere.
Right.
So you do what you can to keep that around. These contracts for the actual good players that get them always look really good by the end of it. How good does that Bryce Harper $25 million luxury tax hit for the next however many years? How good does that look right now? For a team like the Yankees, who cares about that? Like, take care of it now. He will outperform that number during his prime years. By the end, I trust he will be more than good enough because he's been one of the best hitters ever through age 26.
Yeah.
That he, that back end number, whatever that lands on, that's going to feel good at the end. But when guys are making like $60 million a year by then, the age. I've been struggling to figure out the exact verbiage of how I want to phrase like just how young Soto is, and I think I found it. He'll be 26 year one of this new contract. That was year one of Aaron Judge being like a full-time big leaguer. Debuted at 25, 24 maybe. Like that was Judge's year one or year two. I'll pull up his page and know for sure. All the years Judge just put in and then got paid. And you don't want to get those years of Soto?
Yeah.
Like Soto will be worth every penny and then some. Yeah, 25 was Judge's first full season. That's the year Soto's having right now. I would like to have the years Judge had leading up to free agency again with another guy who's that good.
Yes.
Because where Soto's aging, seems like he's going to get better. Because that's how players usually, that's the arc that usually happens from where he's at right now.
He hasn't entered his prime yet.
He hasn't entered his prime yet. He is having his best season of his career. By Baseball Reference WAR, he's already matched his best season WAR number.
Yeah.
Which is crazy.
It is. That's
7.1 in 2021. He's 7 flat right now.
Don't want to hear anybody entertaining not signing Soto. Again.
All right, I think that's a good exclamation point we needed to end the episode. If you guys have any final thoughts.
Yes, guys. Thank you guys so much for joining once again. I appreciate you guys, all of you guys, especially the ones that we met at the event yesterday and told us that they look forward to these voicemails every week in this voicemail app as well. And I look forward to doing it. So I appreciate you guys. Make sure you call us, 908-845-5792.
Leave a comment, leave a voicemail for next week. Like, subscribe, say something kind down there, and you should probably want to keep Juan Soto.
Yes. Let's go.
Hit it high.
Voicemails.
Hit it far.
Voicemails.
Hit it sky.
Talkin' Yanks voicemail show.